Okay, this is part 3 of my tutorial, and we've done the highlights and the shading on the skirt. Now we're going to do the shading for the whole dress. So we'll open a new layer, call it Dress Shading. Pick the blackest black again, our line tool, make sure brush width to 1. And for this, I usually just get rid of, well, not get rid of, I make the dress base layer invisible so I can look at the shading on the Bimbo. And we'll use the same techniques as we have before to get rid of the stuff that goes outside the outline of your dress. So it doesn't matter if you draw lines and things that go outside your dress, because we'll get rid of them later. That's usually how I always shape mine. And since I made the top of her dress so tight, I'm going to draw shading that kind of fits her boobs, just to make it look like it's kind of tight on her on top. And then the best hint I can give is a lot of times you're going to want to follow the shading on your doll, whether it's the regular pose or somebody else's. It'll sort of give you an idea of how the shading should be shaped. And just make this line comes all the way down. And then you can see I just make a big box because I know I'm going to cut all of this out later anyway. So add a new layer, fill it with black, click outside the shading block you just made, edit, cut, merge it down. Now we're going to blur it again. Okay. And now you go back down to your dress base again, click outside to get rid of all that extra stuff. Control X or edit cut, whatever, however you want to do it. And then properties, and we'll lower the opacity of this layer to make it look. Now you can see it looks more like shading on her. Now we're going to add a new layer, call it Dress Creases. Line tool, brush size 1, still using the black. And we're going to create the outline of her boobs because the dress curves down. Or the dress curves down, sorry. The dress hugs her body. So it's going to sort of conform to her chest. Another thing you can do, you can get rid of, or make the dress base layer invisible again if you want to, so that you can trace the lines, or you can draw them in yourself, whatever you want to do. Once again, layer properties, and we're going to lower the opacity of this layer so it's just a little bit darker than our shading. Okay, and then we're going to add a new layer, and we're going to call it we'll call it Chest Highlights. And I'm going to pick the paintbrush, and I usually use a brush, usually kind of a bigger brush to do highlights like this. And then I pick the white, and I just make a dot. And go back down to your regular size, effects, blurs, Gaussian blur. For this, I usually use a bigger blur, something like that. I have that set at an 8. basically just a very, very simple dress. Normally, you'd want to find a better, to make your lines look better in here where they end at the end of her skirt. But I've left mine this way because I'm going to add a belt here in a little bit so that I can show you how I do, how I make things glitter. But you're going to want to add an outline when you're done with all of this. So start a new layer and rename it outline. And click OK. And you're going to want to use the line tool 1. And you want to pick a darker color than your primary color. Probably not that dark though. Probably something like that. And then you just start by making an outline around your dress using the line tool. I'm using a pretty dark color, but you can always go back and lighten it after you get it all done. So first just make it, see what it looks like. You can darken it if you need to, lighten it if you need to, whatever you need to do with it. This is one of the things that makes your edit look a lot cleaner. It makes the lines look smoother, which makes your edit look cleaner. And there you are. We are done with this very simple dress. Now, like I said, it's not my most attractive dress ever, but this is just to give you a really simple idea of how to do this. You'll want to merge your layers down, but you always want to start with the bottom layers, because if you've changed anything like the opacity of a layer, then the layer you merge onto it takes on that same property, and you don't want that. It'll change everything you did. So you want to start with the layer above your dress base and merge it down, and just keep working your way up until all of your layers merge down, and there's your dress. I'll stop this now, and next up will be the belt, and we'll make it a glittery belt.